What is going on, everybody? This is Chris Classic dropping a car vlog. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I am on the way to get the kids, so y'all come ride with your boy. Ride with your boy. Let me know if the audio is good. Nobody tells you today, maybe the God love you. Christ love you, and I love you as well. I'm praying for you guys. I hope you guys are praying for me as well. God is great. Make sure you subscribe to the Take It Home podcast where I talk about professional wrestling topics, and I'll put up my matches as Classic Alpha, professional wrestler of 13 years. Make sure you also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company, so make sure you subscribe to that. You get to see some of the shows that we had previously, like the 11th Hour. Then we also had Fright Night, which was like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago actually. So make sure you look at those matches. Make sure you subscribe. Lafayette in the building. What's going on, Robert Brown? I don't know if you've seen the last live, but you, Arshawn, and Yella, y'all are part of the Wrench Syndicate. What we do is when people say disrespectful stuff, things that are inappropriate and things that we don't want kids to look at because kids look at this channel, we block people. We block people. We block people. So as Blocky Lashley, Shelton blocking him, and MV, please block him. So you are a part of that, sir. Congratulations on being a part of the Wrench Syndicate. If it gets big, we definitely rocking shirts. We definitely rocking shirts. I know it's a 3-man group. There's only 4 people, but y'all are the Wrench Syndicate. I'm a part of it, but a private investor. So still, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, a wonderful time, and stuff like that. God is very good. I'm on the way to get my children. I was going to go home for a bit, but I stayed in the store a little bit longer. I was behind a nice lady that was grocery shopping at the dollar store. And let me tell you, I'm not saying that as a joke. I do that myself. Hey, look, man, with this economy and everything going on, man, I'm telling you, you'll find candy for $1 still. You'll find stuff a little bit upcharged, but still, if you want some big things, go to the dollar store. Go to Dollar General, Family Dollar, and get your stuff. Get some stuff. No problem, brother. No problem. No problem. Honor that y'all even part of it, because like I said, man, because sometimes I just read them and I scroll past them and stuff, but we don't want no things that's inappropriate and deemed inappropriate on this chat. If you disagree, that's one thing, but if you saying some inappropriate stuff or saying some things that disrespect God, me, y'all, my wife, my family, anything crazy, we ain't for that, for sure. I wanted to talk about 2 topics. Depends on how long I'm going to be here in line to get my children, how long we will be on this live. But here we go. Trolls for instance. So, main thing is, Andrade allegedly is fired by AEW. So, we spoke about the situation about Andrade showing up to AEW. Didn't do the 3-month no compete clause that WWE does. Now, a lot of people have speculations on why he showed up as quick as he did, because they were saying that he wasn't getting paid. They wasn't paying him during the 3 months he was supposed to be off. So they were saying that he might have been under the impression that he can go wrestle elsewhere because they wasn't giving him a severance pay for the 3 months that he's supposed to be not wrestling. So, he showed up real quick after he got released by WWE. And then they're saying that WWE put a cease and desist order, and they're saying that since he violated the contract, that he will probably won't be able to compete for a year. Now, I'm going to say this because I just spoke about the economy and everything and going to certain stores and getting things that you want for a cheaper price. I don't care who you are, even if you are a wrestler. It's not a lot of wrestlers that can basically survive off of not getting paid for 3 months. Now, can you imagine not being able to wrestle for a whole year? That's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty thing. That's crazy to think about. That is very crazy to think about. Allegedly, Robert Ryan. I don't know if it's true, but allegedly he's let go. Because, obviously for reasons of contract breaching, poaching, and all kind of stuff. So, I don't know. If it is, it's unfortunate. I've already talked about how bad the situation is for WWE/TKO on their part of it. Because I want to say this. Let's dig deep into it, right? Usually, regardless if the person is bad or not or has a wellness policy violation, usually they get paid for 3 months. Now, I don't know if Andrade said something disrespectful, because like I said, they were saying that he was turning down storylines and things like that. He didn't want to do certain things. So that was one of the reasons why. Poaching is basically going to another company to get business, or a promoter doing the same thing. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. So poaching basically is like if you see somebody that you're interested in wrestling. So let's say maybe their contract isn't even up, and they're like, "Hey, if you come to us, then we'll give you more money, or we'll give you opportunity and stuff like that." Or if you are just a promoter or something like me, and if I go to a company and I'm just there to try to get people to come to my show, that's somewhat of a thing of poaching, right? So that's what that basically means. So with the Andrade situation is, oh, okay, well, we're just going to pick you up. We're just going to sign you because we're going to assume that you're in free agency. It's sort of poaching, but it's not. But it kind of is at the same time, because a lot of us know that WWE has had some kind of contract, unless they really don't care about you. I'm assuming Andrade thought that he had a contract like Aleister Black, who's ironically back in WWE. But I'm assuming he thinking he had a contract like Aleister, because we know that as soon as Aleister got released, he was there quickly on AEW. I don't know, but I'm going to be clear and say I'm on the outside looking into this whole situation. Maybe Andrade had a breach of contract when he did not want to do those bookings that they had him to do. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Andrade had an attitude. Maybe because he showed up when he wasn't supposed to because of the wellness policy. It could be a whole bunch of things. This is the outside looking in. And I'm not sitting here trying to vouch for WWE and stuff like that, because usually people have done worse to WWE and got released and still got paid in the 3 months. But I'm just saying, I don't know how TKO does their things. We only know, for the most part, how WWE does their things. So, I don't know. No problem, Robert Brown. I got to get it right. I'm not gonna lie, I had a taste for Dr. Pepper, because this gonna sound crazy, but I don't know if y'all know that YouTuber named Badland Chug, or Badlands Chugs, the guy that be like drinking, like he'll pour a whole bunch of stuff in something and drink it. I don't know, but I was like, he killed like a whole 12-pack of Dr. Pepper, and I'm like, man, I want some Dr. Pepper. I saw some worse stuff. Oh, we're already in. Rich Syndicate in the building. Rich Syndicate in the building. In the building. Arshawn is already clipping. Dr. Pepper is definitely not bad. Yep. I already see the clips. I already see the Rich Syndicate in the building. Shout out to you, Arshawn. Going back into the situation. I don't know if he had a thought he was like a Aleister Black, but I don't know. But like I said, maybe there's other things that are called breach of contract that Andrade did. Like, we're gonna act like, I don't think that Andrade. My baby said, "Hey y'all." I don't think that Andrade is like a saint with certain situations. I don't. I mean, outside looking in, but you could just look at it and be like, man, this dude look like he a troublemaker and stuff. I mean, even him and Sammy was about to fight that one time when he was in AEW. Like, they literally like scheduled the fade. And I ain't talking about a barbershop. They literally scheduled a fade. Like, come on, man. We gonna sit here and act like something didn't happen, and it was like he didn't want to do certain things. And I'll say this too, man. I understand we are in the era where everybody wants to do everything. And a lot of people are saying, know your worth, know your worth, know your worth. I'm not against that. However, with wrestling, and even with certain jobs, especially in corporate, know your role. You have a role to play. Certain things you would have to do that you do not like. That's what some people do when they clock in. So wrestling is no different. I don't know if Andrade thought he was bigger than what he was. I don't know how he thinks himself was, but I don't know. They wanted him to work with AAA, and he's more familiar with people. Like AAA got some mafia stuff going on when it comes to that lucha stuff. So maybe Andrade didn't want to do it. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff. He signed with this company. Of course, he probably didn't know that they had bought AAA, but still, it's a lot of stuff. That is Dr. Pepper. That's the strawberries and cream. That's like the only fruit I'm gonna probably have today is the strawberries and the Dr. Pepper. The strawberries and cream. And it don't count, but it count in my heart. So I'm eating healthy. I'm definitely eating healthy. Dr. Pepper is definitely not bad at all. The athlete. What's going on? I see you, Rock. All good, Mr. Maryland. Oh, that's cool. Y'all showing love to each other. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's still bad. If AEW fired Andrade, I'm not disappointed in AEW. I'm not mad. I'm not disgusted. They're doing the best thing. They don't want lawsuits. They don't want certain things. They're going off of probably what Andrade said. They're not paying me. So since they're not paying me, I guess I'm released. Or maybe Andrade knew that he wasn't supposed to continue to do something, and he was like, hey, I just signed me. What up, dog? Hey, man, that kind of stuff happens. It happens a lot. But it makes AEW look bad because they didn't go thoroughly looking through not contract, because obviously they're not going to call WWE and say, hey, let me get the contract. But you didn't investigate about certain things, because just because Aleister Black could go wrestle as soon as he got released, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to do that. And I think that even then, TKO is being petty because they're going to use Andrade as an example to the fact that if they do release somebody, they're probably going to be scared, even if the contract doesn't have a no complete clause, so they didn't speak about it, because WWE is going to say, come back, wait. So it's unfortunate, I speak about it all the time. I gotta make sure, get some lawyer friends, get a lawyer or something, and try to figure out what the contract mean. Hey, what this big word mean? Like, you gotta do these kind of things, because these people is crazy out here, man. These people is crazy out here. WWE does a whole bunch of things about keeping people on lock and not letting people wrestle and compete and all of that stuff. So this kind of stuff happens and stuff. Y'all go in there and y'all knock on the door. Here, get this to your brother too. Here, get this to your brother, cause I know he's waiting on me. Okay. Y'all start your homework too, okay? Okay. Hurry up, go get that to him, cause I know he's about to go. Close my door and put that back in the car. All right, close my door. Go knock on the door. Kids. Anyway, you just knock on the door. Just knock on the door. Go. Children. They definitely using them tricky words for sure. That's why, like, hey, try to get a lawyer as much as you can. If Andrade got fired from AEW this past time, he's straight. I don't want to call him that, but like I said, who's to say he said, I bet you I won't go somewhere? That's how I feel. That's how I feel about the Andrade situation, y'all. I feel like Andrade was like, oh, I'm going to call your bluff. That's not a no complete clause. You ain't going to pay me. I bet you I'll go to AEW. I bet you I'll be all elite. He was only all elite for a couple minutes. Now he may not be all elite ever again. Crazy. AEW is not trying to do nothing with these lawsuits. They are not trying to be sued. And I remember when I talked about Endeavor purchasing WWE/TKO, I remember speaking about it, and I was like, okay, these are private companies and stuff. So these got the top tier lawyers for anything. This was also around the time where the stuff was coming out about Vince McMahon and scandals and stuff like that. And most likely, outside of kicking him out, they had people to where they can pay for those lawyer and court fees and stuff like that. You'd be surprised at how many companies or how many cases are dropped because the person that's actually suing and actually in the right, they basically stop doing it and lose the case because they cannot afford it. For example, sidebar, Shazam, right? Captain Marvel, the original one, the man, the boy, Billy Batson, right? I forgot what comic book company created it. It's slipping my mind. What comic book creator? Now, I believe he came out after Superman or before Superman. I want to say after. During this time, Superman he couldn't even fly. He could just jump really high and stuff like that. And Shazam, you say Shazam and Billy Batson turns into this mystical character. One of my favorite comic book characters, right? So what happened was DC was like, oh, Superman is the original, and they basically copied Superman, Shazam, Captain Marvel. Y'all copy what we are and stuff like that. Mind you, Captain Marvel had a movie before Superman did, which is crazy, but still. So what happened was DC sued Fawcett Comics. What up? All right, man. Dang, man. Bye. You get some money. You want to give me a hug now? Get up out of here. Be safe. I think it's Fawcett Comics. I could be wrong, but I think it's Fawcett Comics. So basically, DC Comics sued Fawcett Comics, saying that basically Captain Marvel / Shazam is a copy and copyright copy of Superman. And what happened was, low key, Fawcett Comics was actually winning. They was actually winning the case. However, they didn't have DC money. So they wound up losing the case because they couldn't keep coming to court. It sounds weird, but that's basically what it was. DC winds up winning, and they settled. They worked out stuff, and you see Captain Marvel, now known as Shazam, as a DC character. You see him as a DC character for a reason, because they unfortunately lost the case because they just couldn't keep the funds going. They couldn't afford to keep going to court. Because it was they kept going back. It wasn't like a one-time thing. They kept going back. Big banks. Exactly. Big banks. And AEW is not trying to do that. AEW is not trying to be Fawcett Comics. AEW Set Comics is not trying to mess with WWE DC at all. They are not going to. I don't care that Tony and his father has more money than the company itself. I don't care about none of that. Lawsuits is lawsuits and stuff like that. And even then, they can sit here and say that Andrade knows that we have a no complete clause. It might be in his contract. It may not. I don't know. But that's the crazy part. Walk with me as we go in the house. Because my other kids in there starting homework. Excuse me, y'all. Got my snacks. But, yeah, man. Big bank, take little bank. Excuse me, y'all. I know y'all got a close-up on my chest. I don't want y'all to see that. Anyway, yeah. So that's what happened with Fawcett Comics and DC. Fawcett was actually winning, but they couldn't keep up financially, and they wound up losing the case, and they settled. But like when you see the Shazam movie and all that under DC, that's because basically they worked the deal where he's a DC character now. Okay. What you showing me, Mama? Stickers. Okay. Start your homework. But what was I telling you guys? So AEW definitely not trying to mess with AEW. Not AEW. They're definitely not trying to mess with them at all. With a lawsuit. So like I said, I can't sit here and tell you what Andrade did that was 100% wrong, if he did anything wrong. But I don't know. I don't know. I think Andrade knew something, or he was just playing the bad boy. So I would hate to, yeah, IP, yeah. Like when you look at a Shazam movie or a comic book, I think the last comics I looked at, I don't even think they had Fawcett Comics on there. Dang, that's crazy. DC works with a lot of companies too, by the way, but to lose your prominent character, and the thing is, let's be clear, Captain Marvel was becoming real big. Like people was enjoying Shazam. I love the story of it. I love the creation of Shazam. I love the fighter. I love how he looks with the Thunderbolt. I love the DC live action movie, the first one. The second one, Fury of the Gods, was trash. Hot trash. DC cannot make a great sequel to save their life. We seen that with Wonder Woman 1984. We seen it with Shazam Fury of the Gods. We seen it with Joker Part Deuce number 2, Boo Boo, because that's exactly what it is. But still, that's crazy. But going back into it, the Andrade situation is definitely sad. And like I said, I do think it does intimidate a lot of the people who are signed to WWE, or the people who decided to not have a contract extended, or WWE didn't extend their contract. You know, to me, I do think that 3 months out is a long time to not wrestle. You know what I'm saying? But they do severance. And like I said, I made a video about it, and some people didn't like what I said. It is a luxury to get paid 3 months. However, that's the least you can do when you can't wrestle nowhere else. There are not a lot of people who could just work, who could just live off of not getting paid for 3 months. I don't know Andrade's pockets. I don't. You got millionaires that can't afford to like live off without 3 months. They got to do something. They got to invest. They got to do something. There's not a lot of people that can do that. So now, if it's true that he got to wait a whole year, man, you gonna have to find a job somewhere. But it can't be wrestling. That's wild. Aquaman. The Aquaman sequel was okay. It wasn't special though. It was okay. I mean, yeah, I guess. It was alright. It didn't like, I wasn't like thrilled to see it. And I like Black Manta. I like him as one of my favorite villains and stuff like that. But it definitely, yeah. The Harley Quinn, the Birds of Prey movie and stuff. I know people said that was trash too. But yeah, DC's sequels, they're never that good. But I did want to speak about that for a little bit. Hopefully it works out to benefit Andrade. If Andrade did do something bad in this situation, hopefully there's some kind of grace into it to where he can wrestle after the 3 months. But we'll see. Mercedes Mone. Let me drink some of my Dr. Pepper. Whew, wait. Strawberries and cream. Anyway, Mercedes Andrade was like, I'll show you, Paul. And that's what I think. I'll make it elsewhere, Mr. IC Color, a.k.a. Triple H replied, no, you won't, Andrade. Don't make me force my... Hey, man, we act like people ain't petty. And that's what killed me too, right? People be like, oh, since Vince is gone, the pettiness stops. No, it's been a lot of Petty Murphys, Petty Wops, Rock, Petty. Like, it's been a lot of stuff. Petty Tendergrass. Shout out to Joseph Howard Credit. It's a lot of stuff that is going on there behind the scenes, forward in the scenes. Some of it is TKO. Some of it is Paul. Paul got his own thing. Paul cannot handle pressure like Vince used to. People ask Triple H something that's controversial. He's saying, I don't see color, or he's stumbling, or he's saying stuff but he don't know, or he's responding to fans when he says y'all can't have him when they was chanting for Edge instead of ignoring what they're saying. Come on, man. Come on. Horrible. Petty Murphys. Yeah, Petty Murphys, Petty Wops, Rock Petty, Petty Tendergrass, all of that. Petty Levert. It's just Tom Petty. It's all petty, man. And for people to be like, oh, it's gonna be different. That is that man's son. It could. So what? It's through marriage. That is that man's son at the end of the day. So to sit here and be like, oh, it's gonna be different. Maybe it was different because he wasn't the one at the reins. You know, we're not gonna sit here and act like that Vince wasn't a great businessman. He was a nasty businessman, but still, he don't need to come to C3. I don't need them lawsuits. I don't need them. I don't need them. There's a lot of people that want to work for C3, and I'm trying to work with them. And I don't want WWE to be WWE C3. I don't want none of that. I don't want none of the problems. If you tried your management putting clauses in your videos, come to C3 Row, Suge Knight, Alpha Classic Night. You don't want your people contract breaching, poaching, come to C3. Let's go on, Austin. Good afternoon. So, still, Mercedes got 12 belts now. And she's been calling herself Ultimo Mone. Now, I'm going to speak about the Ultimo Mone part. She wilding for that one. She don't need to say it. I know some people use names as tributes to other wrestlers and stuff like that. But with wrestling, especially with wrestling, if you are not the first to do something and that person is great, it is dangerous to mess your name and your legacy up by calling you somebody else's name. I don't even care if she asks Ultimo, could I use Ultimo Mone? You still don't do that. Like, it's bad. It's bad enough. You know, when they were trying to say that Roman Reigns, it was his yard now because the Undertaker called the ring his yard. And then when they tried to say Roman was like, this is my yard now, nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear it because they were just so sick of seeing Roman at the time, and people had so much respect for Undertaker. Ultimo Dragon, people have so much respect for him, what he did in Japan, what he did in Mexico, what he did in WWE, WCW, and all of that stuff. That iconic picture of him with all of those belts, very iconic. There's a lot of wrestlers on the independent scene and on the main scene that tries to take that picture. Now she's the one that can really take the picture with all the belts she has. Happy for her success. I just don't like that she called herself Ultimo Mone. Look, I'm going to tell y'all this. I think the independents in AEW is trying to show her the love they felt that WWE didn't give her. And I'm not against that at all. Because like I said, I know a lot of people are saying she don't deserve to win all of these titles, but they probably couldn't even name 5 titles that she has without looking it up. I can't even name you 5 titles without looking it up. I'm just saying. Only thing missing from that is the guard. C3P absorbed. That ID program that everybody not a part of no more. Like, they got to rehire people. Like the champ, Kylie Ray, she said they let her go. Other people didn't extend their contract. Other people let go. That WWE ID is going to be called WWE YD. YD, I do that. Okay, it was a little corny, but we're going to work with that. Ultimo, C3 Ultimo, maybe we can get her instead of Andrade. RVP versus CEO. I definitely take Mone. I would take Mone over Andrade too, but she can't call herself Mone. Not Mone, Ultimo Mone. She can't call herself Ultimo Mone. Ultimo Mone. I get it, and I remember that, like, Brian Danielson was trying to, like, tout her like she's better than Ultimo Dragon, which is also a big no-no. He shouldn't have said that. We coming off also the cusp of Tony Khan saying that Jon Moxley is like Harley Race, which made other people mad too. We got to stop with comparing these people and stuff. And like I said, I don't even think that Mercedes is controversial. I just think a lot of people don't like her. And if you don't like her, to each their own. Like I said, there are some things I don't like about her in AEW, but I am happy for her success, and she seems happy there or whatever like that and all that. But still, Ultimo Mone, like, come on. Come on now. You could have tried your other name. You could something. You could have did something. You could have. See, that's a moment where it could have been creative, had a creative name or whatever. You call yourself the CEO or something like that. The CEO of multiple companies or something. You could say something. You know, Ultimo Mone, like, people's already saying, oh, she must be going for the Ultimo record. And then now you calling yourself Ultimo Mone. Horrible. CTE is another belt. She's the John Witherspoon community. She could be. Daniel does have CTE, but Daniel also needs to stop capping. I understand supporting. Yo, don't be so loud. I understand. Just put it right here. I'll get to it in a little bit. Okay? Yo, who?
What do you call Copy.
No, have something else. I don't feel like digging in your teeth with the floss pick. Have another snack or something, okay? Get some fruit, okay? All right. High five. Oh. All right. But, yeah, Bryan Danielson, he's been saying things to, like, try to promote his company more than what he's supposed to. Like I said, the WrestleMania 30 main event, it wasn't that big a deal. Excuse me. I like the other stuff that I did other spots. Shut up! Shut up! I'm gonna make you defend your title for Mercedes Mone. You better stop playing. You're gonna be outside like Andrade. Anyway, still, he's talked about, like, the WrestleMania 30 main event. It wasn't that big to him or whatever like that. And then, you know, he also spoke about the Ultimo Dragon thing, like Mercedes is better than him. Then he also was like, well, Cody wouldn't be where he's at if it wasn't for AEW. And there's some truth to that part. But still, when you led with the WrestleMania 30 match wasn't that big to me, that's where the problem comes in. CT Eminem said this. Don't compare me. I'm better off. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be the next whoever. I want to be Classic Alpha. I want to be something where I have my footprint in wrestling, where people are like, oh, okay, well, this guy did this and did that. Like, I remember when I was wrestling in Wisconsin, like, one guy would, like, compare me to, like, John Cena. And I felt honored at the same time, but at the same time, I'm my own person, and I'm trying to do my own path when it comes to certain things. Wait, so Andrade just came back to AEW, has to wait a year. Yeah, allegedly. It was a cease and desist order from WWE, and I gotta tell my baby to go back upstairs. What's up? You can have that, okay? Apparently he broke. They did a cease and desist. WWE did a cease and desist to Andrade, because he showed up to AEW, and apparently he was supposed to not be wrestling for 3 months, basically 90 days. And allegedly, I'm saying allegedly because I don't know, but it's looking a little nasty. It's looking murky in this water. He was let go by AEW either yesterday or 2 days ago. So I don't know if he got let go yet or if he's getting let go. Because like I said, if it is determined as a breach of contract, he won't be able to wrestle for a year. That's crazy. Mone ain't going to swap meets and pawn shops looking for old belts. I'll make you defend yourself. I understand why some companies are doing that, though. All right. Hey. All right. Okay, we'll go up the stairs and close the door. Okay, I'm live. So I understand why some companies are doing that. You're going to put eyes on a product by saying that Mercedes Moné is your women's champion or whatever belt she has. I definitely understand why they're doing that. Some people see it as she's gonna give back to independent wrestling by losing to, I guess, 12 women, since she has 12 belts, and that's supposed to help them. I'm more of a realist. It may help a few, but it's not going to help 12 women. It's just not going to, unless they get signed by WWE or AEW. If they rank go up or something, hopefully, I hope the best for all. But when you try to sit here and be like, okay, well, she's going to put 12 people over, why didn't she just put them over before winning the titles? That's my thinking. I don't mind people having multiple belts and stuff like that, but it does have to have some kind of meaning to it. Now, if she had like 3 or 4 belts, maybe you could say that and I can understand that argument. But now if she collects more belts, it's not going to be special by the time she loses the third one, because she got all these belts already. So you see, you're going to kind of shoot yourself in the foot, in my opinion, that, okay, she's going to put over possibly 12 people, and she already put over 2-3 people, and then now she got to put over 10 more people. By the time it's the 12th belt that she loses, will it really be that special compared to the first time? That's on the outside looking in to me. That's on the outside. Bro, just go and do indies at this point. That's the thing with Andrade. It usually stops people from doing indies too. I don't think a lot of people understand that part. Like, you're not supposed to show up anywhere. Like, you could obviously go online and promote if you have other business and you want to show your family and stuff like that, maybe interviews and stuff, but usually you can't compete even in the independents when it comes to those contracts. Usually they'll say it. People be like, oh, well, I'll see you in let's see, it's October, November, December, January. See you guys in January, because they got released. You know what I'm saying? So that's the situation with that, is that it's not just no competing in like TNA and AEW. It's for some independents, a lot of independent companies too. Like, they will probably send a cease and desist even if you wanted to wrestle for C3, especially if it becomes big, like it's becoming big and stuff like that. And then they're going to be like, oh, no, they're not going to eat off of the person that we used to book. Heck no. Reports are Andrade will be legally represented by Beast Mortos. I hope it works. I know he just got his lawyer degree, his lawyer certificate and stuff like that. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. I think what pushback from Andrade is he did go to AEW, and then also they can also say that he was being insubordinate because he didn't want to do certain storylines. He didn't want to be a part of stuff. He said no. He showed up when he was suspended one time, They're going to throw everything at both of those guys. And Beast Mortos is obviously cool with Andrade because, you know, obviously I don't think WWE will book Beast Mortos if they wanted them to because you're going against the grain. And I'm not against that neither. That's your homie or that's what you want to do, fine. This wasn't Andrade that showed up. It was Andre. Andre has highlights. Yeah, Andrade got a twin brother. His name is Andrade Drake. He's the one that got the kid, not Andrade. Andrade Drake got one, the one that was hiding his kid from the world, not the world from his kid. So yeah, he definitely had highlights and stuff. So should have worn a mask. I don't know, man. Like I don't know. It's crazy. That dog don't like you talking bad about Mercedes Mone. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. CER. We about to be out of here. That boy been divorced 3 times. Stop. He like shut up talking about Mercedes. She may be my queen. She can win all the belts. Yeah, it's a girl too, so it's a girl dog. So I guess girl power. But yeah, to the Mercedes Mone part, like I said, that's a lot of belts, and some people are like she's going to give back to the independent scene by losing to 12 people, and it's like people lose all the time. People lose all the time. I think the only time she lost, like I want to say like maybe 3 times since going to the independent. She lost the strong style belt when it was against Willow when she hurt herself. She lost a match in Japan. I want to say to Julia because she lost the belt there. Somebody, excuse me, I think it's 4 times. Then she was in a triple threat, but somebody pinned the opposite person, didn't pin her, and she lost the belt. But then she gained like 2-3 more belts. Oh, she lost to Toni Storm too. She lost to Toni Storm and didn't win the belt. A lot of people thought she was going to win that time, but she didn't. CER, yes. But still, she loses all the belts. I'm telling you, the first time she drops the title to somebody, it won't be it'll be special. But I don't think the 12th time she does it, it'll be special. And me as a promoter, I'm thinking like, man, I'm gonna be a scared promoter if I'm trying to book her for a show to defend the title and then she don't pick up. Remember that African dude that was on the phone with the button up, the striped button up polo, and he was on the phone. That's what they looking like. They're gonna be looking like him, like, hey, I've been trying to call you to see if you can show up to the show. What's going on? That's a big thing too to think about. A lot of people, they put belts on these guys and gals and they be champions, they be multiple champions and stuff. But now they could turn their fee up even if they got a belt. Now you got to pay them more. And then now you have to because they have your belt. And then you want your belt back. You want to do that stuff. There are wrestlers that hold people up for money when they have belts or when they have big opportunities. For example, Zilla Fatu, Umaga's son. Allegedly, you know, he was getting booked at GCW and stuff like that. And allegedly when he got word about how much money they was getting paid a lot more money to do shows and stuff, he was trying to hold them up for more money. Allegedly. So these are the kind of things to think about too when you put a belt on somebody that already got 11 belts. In my mind, I'm like, man, you got 11 belts. Why you need 12? Why you need 12? Hey, you got 4 belts. Why you need 5? That's how I feel. If she got Tony to bring the women to AEW for their matches where she drops them, the fans get to cheer her losing. That's the only good point I see, but I don't see that. I don't see it. I don't see that at all. Most of us see that she's the champ after she wins the belt. Like, they're not, hey, why don't y'all see this match? Not even AEW. They're not showing the matches where she wins these belts. But when I go on Facebook and stuff, people are showing that she got a new belt. They're not showing the match. They're not showing none of that. So how is that supposed to help? If they show up to AEW, that'll be interesting, but they're not going to do that neither. I remember the storyline between Kenny Omega and Rich Swann when they was doing the title versus title. Kenny was the AEW champion, and Rich Swann was the TNA champion. Rich Swann didn't even show up to AEW television at all. At all. Kenny was on both channels. He was on TNA and he was on AEW. The only people from TNA that showed up to AEW was the Good Brothers, was Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. And they only showed up to AEW because they was part of the Bullet Club with Kenny Omega. What kind of mess was that? We knew that Kenny was going to win, but Rich Swann didn't even show up to AEW television at all. So you mean to tell me a tag team that has nothing to do with this storyline can show up because they cool with Kenny? Poor Rich Swann. Rich Swann went through so much stuff in his wrestling career and stuff. And even when WWE, they let him go for a lot of controversial stuff that they thought he had something to do with. And then to even not even be showcased on the number 2 wrestling company in the world, having a belt that you're going to defend against that person, sad. Definitely sad. I remember this stuff because I be hating when certain things look like it's just not meant to be, or when it's just one-sided, you know. Jeff Jarrett did that 99 before he dropped the title to China. Yep, he did, because he didn't want to lose to a woman. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying like I agree with the holding up part, but the losing to the woman thing is a little different. I know it was China and China was beating people up, but still. Yes, Maya? What's up now? Yeah, Jeff, he definitely held up WWE for some money. I think the Ultimate Warrior held them up for money before. There's a lot of people that hold people up for money when it comes to certain things. Stone Cold doesn't technically hold people up for money, but when people book him for independent shows, you got to pay that man like $1,500 a stunner or something. I think it's even more than that. If you want him to hit a stunner, that charges. So imagine paying money to have him come to an event. He like, nah, $1,500 a stunner. You like, dang, you gonna have to pay him because people want to see a Stone Cold stunner. And say AEW did TNA Dirt WB slaving 10. Honestly, I think TNA has done better with the WWE partnership. But what I've seen and what I've asked from Arshawn, because Arshawn, that's my homie, he been paying attention to it more than me. He was saying like it's okay, but it's not like special and stuff. Because I got confused when they did Invasion, Showdown, and it was like Kalani Jordan, who's an NXT wrestler. I know she's a current TNA Women's Champion, but she was on the side of TNA. And like, why would she be on the side of TNA? Because of that. And it was just like kind of stupid in a way. Like y'all had a good way to do the NXT versus TNA stuff. And, you know, Trick was on the male team of NXT, but he was the TNA world champion, which is crazy, which goes into the TNA event. And they said that Trick versus Santana was a great match. So it's like y'all had like y'all had potential to do stuff. But we got to realize that even if TNA is not as big as WWE, WWE still sees them as competition. So I sound like that she loses all the belts to one. That'd be crazy too. That would actually make the woman something to think about. Oh, she lost all her belts to one person? That's crazy, right? Because I remember even when she had one belt and she went against Stephanie Vaquer, in the words of Naomi, Stephanie Vaquer or Stephanie Velcro, whatever, however Naomi calls it. When she went against her, everybody talked about that match, and then people was like, oh man, who's Stephanie? Like Mone was even trying to get her signed to AEW, but WWE got her so quick. They got Stephanie so quick. And you see that even goes to my point too. That goes straight to my point too. You don't need all of those belts. I'll book it. I'd book it with Tony sick of her repping other companies, make her fight every week for one of the belts with every disadvantage DQ. That's good too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Invasion was odd. I kept hearing it was mimicking OG Invasion, but I missed OG. WWE versus TNA was my dream showdown, and Mr. IC Color Wested. Arshawn, you ain't missing much with that Invasion. The WWE and WCW Invasion, when I was a kid, in my mind, was supposed to be one of the best storylines. I keep telling you, one of the moments that made me lose my mind when I was a kid, though, was when Perry Saturn, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Dean Malenko was sitting front row of Raw. Because I thought they were still in WCW. They sat front row, and then Billy Gunn and Road Dogg and them, and Al Snow, whoever else was in the match, you know, they started like talking trash to him, and then eventually they like pushed them. And when they pushed them, all four of these guys started beating up everybody. And I was like, man, this is one of the biggest moments in wrestling to me as a child when I saw that. And then all of that stuff. And then when they got signed, Perry and all of them, they started losing bad to the WCW guys. I was like, dog, y'all gave them this huge debut, and they losing bad. They losing foul. I was like, man, y'all really didn't care. So that was already an inclination about what they was going to do. With the invasion, you had WCW, which was cool. And then eventually ECW wrestlers started joining in with the WCW wrestlers. That was like the high point of it. That was the high point of it. After that, it went downhill because Stone Cold wound up being with WCW's side, and Kurt Angle at one point, and people switching sides, some WCW guys going in. And mind you, this was the time where RVD, everybody was loving RVD so bad. Like, you hear chants, RVD. They wound up whooping him, so people start thinking that they didn't care about him. It was crazy. It was a mixed bag for sure. Invasion storylines could work if it's give or take on both sides. WWE, they let WCW win like one where like Stone Cold like betrayed WWE, but it's not memorable. And also, another reason why it wasn't memorable because the top guys from WCW wasn't in it. No Kevin Nash, no Scott Hall, no NWO, no Goldberg, no Sting, nobody. Booker T was the last WCW champion. Y'all guys know how much I love Booker T. Y'all know, but he couldn't carry it by himself as a WCW star. I mean, you had like Sean O'Hare and Mark Jindrak. You had these guys that were up-and-comers, but they were up-and-comers and stuff. These guys had different contracts between WCW and them. They had contracts with Ted Turner, the guy who owned WCW. So he was paying them basically personally, not through a WCW check. So, and Sting already spoke about why he didn't even want to show up to WCW at the time, because when Booker T showed up, The Rock was like, who in the blue hell are you? And Sting felt that was a slap in Booker T's face because of all the work that he did. So, WWE is out of 12 belts on Stephanie Vaquer. Steve Blackman, that's who it was, Steve Blackman. In 1 year, if you was booking WWF or CW, how would you book Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan would have been the deciding factor on. He would have been the one who switched sides, possibly, if he was there. It wouldn't have been Stone Cold, because Stone Cold had bad blood with WCW. He had bad blood with WCW. They fired him when he was injured. So why would he turn around and be like, oh, well, I want to stick it to Vince? And even then, Stone Cold should have been the wild card because he was Mr. DTA. Don't trust anybody. So why would he go to the side of WCW? Why would he? And work with Shane and work with Stephanie to stick it to Vince. Stone Cold was sticking it to Vince, pause no Diddy, without neither one of them before. So Hogan would have definitely been the deciding factor because he was a champion in WWE and WCW. And then with the ECW thing, that's a little wild card sparky there. Hogan should have been the central point. And I know a lot of people be like, not Hogan. No, it's a reason for that. Hogan is the reason why ratings skyrocketed for both companies. So you have him as in the middle. You have him in the middle of what does he want to do? Does he want to go to WCW and be a part of NWO and with everybody and do all of this stuff? Or do they want to have their own thing as NWO? Remember, they used to have a game, WCW versus NWO. They could even did that. That would have been interesting too. Hulkamania versus the Hulkster. Because, he called himself the Hulkster in WCW. Real American versus American Made. I am a real American versus American Made. I ain't gonna lie. That American Made was a bop. I ain't gonna lie. Both of them was a bop. But that would have been the driving force. Hulk Hogan. Hold on, y'all. But yeah, Hulk Hogan definitely should have been the middle point and the focal point. He definitely should have been the focal point of the invasion storyline. Pause no Diddy. I'm Imagine Hogan versus Stone Cold at SummerSlam '01. I wish I could relive 95 wrestling again with modern tech. Yeah, they got like a show, a YouTube channel called like the WWE Vault, and they show WWE old stuff that even WWE doesn't have. They have things. I don't know if they have playlists, but I recommend that they do that. Then there's also a WCW playlist of stuff. Back in the days, wrestling, and to me, I was a bigger WCW fan because they had better wrestling, but WWE had better characters. And that's just something that's, to me, that's just factual. You know, WWE had The Rock and Stone Cold and Undertaker, Kane, Triple H. Like, their characters were great. WCW had great wrestling, but they had good characters with stuff like the NWO. But when the NWO started doing like the Wolf Pack, which I liked when I was a kid, then WCW, NWO 2000. Then it was like one point Stevie Ray was like the official leader of the NWO, and he was going against Vincent, who was Virgil in WWE, rest in peace. It just started going out of hand, and then everybody named Mama was like part of the NWO. I was like, people was doing it for job security, I understand, but it was like getting kind of played out. Even to the fact that when they did the WWE NWO storyline, like Booker T was like part of the NWO in that storyline. I'm like, why is he a part of this? Shawn Michaels was a part of the NWO for a little bit in the WWE thing. I'm like, why are y'all doing this? We want NWO versus DX. We don't want Shawn Michaels to be a part of the NWO. Made no sense. But still, the NWO was involved with WCW as a faction. Then all WWO would be at the point was a faction and faction. Like what? But it would have worked though, because NWO could have been their own thing. That could have been their own thing. Like, you could have had time to promote WCW, WWE, ECW that was working with WCW, and even the NWO. Because even with the NWO, that's when you could have had people joining NWO because maybe they wanted to be a part of something that was big. The fact that WCW released the game on the N64, and I think it was on the PlayStation 1, called WCW versus NWO, and when you click the character at the bottom, it would say the person's affiliation with the company, either WCW, NWO. That says something in itself. Like, I understand they was trying to give ECW an opportunity too, but still, Hogan was definitely like the big, should have been a de facto, not Stone Cold. Now, I'm sure Hulk Hogan probably wanted a lot of money, but still, I would have shelled that money for Hulk Hogan because, like I said, the Stone Cold thing was okay, but that's all it was. It was just okay. Like, and we're not even talking about the belts and the championships that came in. There was a time where the Undertaker and Kane was the WCW tag team champions because they beat the tag champions. Was it Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Hare? And they was the WWE champions. The Undertaker and Kane was, and then The Rock was like the WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and then Kurt Angle was one. I think Stone Cold. Like, it started going crazy. Like, it was like, y'all thought me talking about too many belts was something now. Think about it back then. World champions, heavyweight champions, former champions, ECW champions, blah, blah, blah. So like Taz was like the ECW champion, and he lost to Triple H on a free show, who was the WWE champion. It was just like, and then Taz wound up losing to Mike Awesome at an off independent ECW show. It was just too many belts, man. I could imagine what I'd have been saying back then. Probably the same thing. Crazy. Half of DS was in TNA and 02. Yeah. But yeah, I remember that. But still, it had potential, and I think a lot of people was upset. The WWF versus WCW versus NWO. And there's no shade to ECW. I would have had it like that. Nothing against ECW at all, but I definitely would have had it like that. I think that would have sold a lot more than what they was doing if they would have did it the right way. But like I said, the fact that WCW didn't have their top stars, that's a problem. That's a problem. To me, it should have been lopsided, and they knew it was lopsided. So that's why they was having like Stone Cold and Kurt switch sides and stuff, because it was so lopsided. It was so lopsided and stuff. And then my thing is, storyline purposes, how you gonna have Goldberg team with anybody? Because Goldberg didn't really like nobody. Sting was against the NWO and stuff. Like it was just so much stuff. And to me, that's just showing you how much money Ted Turner had. The fact that he was paying these people basically on his own payroll than WCW as a company. If you was booking the invasion angle, would you put Big Show in the NWO and Hulk Hogan? Nah, only because what Big Show has been saying, what Paul White has been saying now about NWO and stuff. He didn't really like it because he was young and naive at the time. He said he felt that they were taking advantage of him and stuff because he was very, very young. And they didn't want to make him like a star at the time because he was big and he was powerful. So they'd be like, hey, why don't you just join us and stuff like backstage and stuff. So they kind of put a ceiling on Big Show, Paul White, the Giant at the time. So I wouldn't, if I knew everything what he's saying now, back then, I wouldn't even had them shaking hands and stuff because they really did stunt, his growth. They stunted a lot of people's growth at the time too, and they stunted financial growth. Kevin Nash's Scott Hall's contract, I don't know if y'all know, but their contract was, hey, we're going to sign to WCW, but if you pay anybody more money than us, we want as much money as them. So yeah, buddy, that was a lot of money that was thrown in there. What's going on, Bill? Nice meeting you. So, the NXT and TNA storyline, for what I was looking at, it did look interesting, but like the short video that I had made, it was a little weird because it's like some of these guys and gals had names that I seen when they was in WCW. Oh, what's Matt Cardona doing here? That's Zack Ryder. You know what I'm saying? Victoria Crawford, Alicia Fox, Cassie and Jesse, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, Sade, Jakara Jackson. Like, I was like, y'all, I still remember y'all by y'all WWE names. And that's just me, I guess. But still, it was just a little weird about it and what they were going to do. Like, to me, we all knew that TNA and WWE wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen. So this was an opportunity to, like, spotlight TNA. And I think that they did it a little bit better than what AEW did. Yeah, she about to be put out like Andrade. But shut up. Hey, you know them. You know them. No. Close that door. The car just left. Yeah, hey. Yeah, she just left not too long ago. So it's like I said, it is cool to see these people get opportunities and yeah. Sit. Like you see these people getting these opportunities and stuff, and it's cool, but still, it was a little weird. But nothing about it made me that interesting. And then it was like when I did want to look at it to be interested, that's when I saw like the team NXT versus Team TNA, and the TNA women's team was led by a NXT superstar. That was all I needed to see. That was all I needed to see then. The invasion storylines can work, but you have to give so much stuff to it. And you can't sit here and say, like, I saw anything from the outside looking in and maybe be like, you know what? TNA got a chance. And then even then, what happens now after the team stuff? Are they still, they did the Battle Royal, so maybe we'll see it more often. I'll tell you guys, I think WWE bought TNA. I think they bought them. I just think it's only a matter of time until they make the announcements. I remember when WrestleMania hit, night one, they said that WWE bought AAA. And I was like, okay, well, night two, they're going to say that they bought Impact, they bought TNA. They didn't say it yet. But I truly think that it will not be long until WWE has purchased TNA if they didn't do that already. I think they definitely, I think they have some of it, I think, or TKO. I think they do have it. I know they are helping them with TV deals and stuff like that. To me, WWE ain't that generous with helping somebody be broadcasted somewhere unless they have their hands in the pot. And I think that they bought them. I just don't think that they announced it yet. Maybe they're going to announce it at the end of the year. Hey, we got a new show. And maybe John Cena will help run it or something because, Shawn Michaels, he runs NXT. Triple H runs WWE. Undertaker almost looks like he's running AAA for certain things. And who knows? John Cena said he's going to help behind the scenes with stuff. He might help run TNA. You never know. This Dr. Pepper is hitting, y'all. Woo! It's hitting. Woo! There is way too much crossover and see, that's the thing. When you're the one that's the number one out of the two, especially with WWE's involvement, because Paul probably's telling Shawn, hey man, what's going on? You gotta stop. Hey, don't do that. Don't show too much. Don't do this. Don't do that. Like WWE still has pull to this day. I saw a video. I'll look at this guy called Marky D123. Shout out to him on YouTube. And NWA, if y'all still don't know, that company still exists. They did a show, and I think the main event was Kenzie Page versus Natalya, because Natalya's been killing it on the independent scene. So they had an event, a pay-per-view. So people probably bought the pay-per-view to see the fight. They wanted to see Natalya wrestle this girl because this lady is up and coming. So they watched the whole show, and NWA closed the show, said that was it. To only find out the match did happen, that fans recorded the match. WWE didn't even want them to promote the match. They didn't want them to eat off of that match. That was a match that people wanted to see for the most part. So WWE has pull on a lot of stuff. So it's like, if you do want to do a deal with them, you do have to be careful because they're going to make sure they people look good. And as a promoter, I understand that. But I also understand, like, there's give and take. You guys was there when I tried to do a crossover event with 3 companies. And low-key, one of the companies kind of bounced out, and it was only like a crossover with 2. But we still promoted it like it was 3. And it was a decent show. It was also the show I hurt my knee. Like, y'all talking about crossover shows, my left knee crossed over into pain. It's serious pain. Like, I'm rubbing my knee now because I'm thinking about it now. But still. So I definitely know there's a lot of companies that do crossover shows, and sometimes they don't want to do a champion versus champion because they want their champion to look good. They also don't want like title versus title, and even if it's non-title matches, you still don't want your champion to lose. So I definitely understand. People's concerns about it, but still, man, we went from Andrade to Ultimo to crossover. Shoot, what else we got to talk about? What else y'all want to talk about? Look at my kids' homework. Ooh, these kids' homework. Man, back in the day, I'm looking at my daughter. She's in kindergarten. All we had to do was color and paint. These mothers, they got to write names and all that. They're like, this stuff is just so advanced now. And my middle son, they're showing him how to write cursive. I'm like, man, y'all bringing cursive back? Like, he already write horrible. Y'all gonna make him do cursive? But still, very interesting. Before I go though, what else do y'all want to talk about real quick? I got a few more minutes before I start checking stuff and doing things, fatherly duties. But yeah, the crossover things, they can work. It's just make them believable. If you don't make them believable, why should we care? And I've said that even about WWE product. If y'all just doing anything and we seeing it, and even like the company y'all work with, one of the writers is saying, oh, well, y'all WrestlePalooza got to see. Why should we care? That was supposed to be a mini WrestleMania. We just looked at it like, what is this mess? And I think I watched it. And it was not, it just felt like nothing special. So I'm not even mad the dude gave a C. I think he was generous. Ooh, Arshawn, we gonna make another video about that. But I will say this. I will speak about it now because you're my homie and we are part of the Wrench Syndicate. We block people John Cena's final run ain't been good. It's just starting to be good 2 months. His final 2 months, his run is good. You want to know why it's not good? Too many people was involved, too many stories, and the match qualities. The match qualities have not been that good. The only these Cody Rhodes and him in the rematch at SummerSlam because it was no DQ because you can use weapons. John Cena versus Logan Paul. That was a good match. Classic Paris, I believe. John Cena versus AJ Styles. As a fan, a wrestling fan of both, I loved it. But as a wrestler myself, I didn't like the finish spot that you tributing all of these people's moves when kicking out at 2. I didn't like that. So there's 3 matches. He been wrestling since what? January? I think January or July. One of them. It ain't been good. We're going to cry. We're going to be emotional that he's retiring only because of what he's put in throughout the years. I'm glad he had a 17th championship run. It wasn't the greatest championship run. It just wasn't. The matches was either short, clunky. John Cena don't have it anymore, man. He tired. He old. And that's what happens with our bodies. As wrestlers, sometimes we go through that. We can't do what we want to do and stuff. He has other priorities and obligations. I will say this. I admire that he's been on TV weekly and stuff like that and been at almost every PLE. I admire that because we are used to The Rock saying, hey, I'm never leaving, and leaves and won't see him till next year and for months and stuff like that. We ain't seen The Rock since Elimination Chamber where John Cena turned evil. We ain't seen him, and he was a part of the reason why John Cena turned evil. Come on, man. Come on. What's going on, Mary Stevens? Come on, man. Come on, man. All these people bought WrestleMania tickets thinking they're going to see The Rock, and they only saw The Rock on the t-shirt. And let's not start about Travis Scott. Travis Scott had no reason to be a part of this at all. And then the fact that y'all put him on TV and he's etched in the history of John Cena's heel turn, to him to not even wrestle because I felt he didn't take it seriously or whatever like that is crazy to me. He probably has 1 match left, 4 appearances. 2 out of 3 of those are going to be Mike's. He isn't doing 4 matches. Who should spinal opponent be? Hey, Mary, that's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy, Mary. I think it should have been Randy. I think it should have been Randy. I think that their match at, was it Backlash? It was good until the end. I hated that end. Travis Knight. I hated the end of that match because it was just, okay, the referees got taken out, so now security comes out worrying about referees. When have security come out worrying about referees? And then Randy did all of those RKOs just for the sake of him doing a whole bunch of RKOs and just for Cena to hit him with the title and win. I think it should have been Randy. I know a lot of people think that Adam Copeland is coming back because of the thing of leaving AEW allegedly. They think he's coming back. I don't want to see him I don't want him as Cena's last match. Nothing against Copeland or Cope or whatever he calls himself. I don't want to see that. I think it should have been Randy. Some people said it's going to be Gunther. I would like the match. I don't think it should be Cena's last match. Gunther just retired Goldberg. We just seen him retire Goldberg, and I don't want him to just be like the last of the line with certain things and stuff. So I'm trying to think. Outside of Randy, it should have been Randy, man. It should have been Randy. Unless The Rock come out and they do 3 times in a lifetime, and that match won't be that good. Unless they do him and Roman, I wouldn't mind that one more time. I don't know. I don't know. I think it should have been Randy. Randy should have been his final opponent. Period. Yeah, I definitely think it should have been. Definitely should have been there. But yeah, so his final match is what, December 13th, and it's going to be on the Peacock app. You think he's going to pass the torch? Cena's been passing the torch. There's no more torch for him to pass, in my opinion. He has lost to Roman, Solo, Austin Theory, because he was losing to a lot of people. He'd come into a PLE and lose. So the big torch that he's carried, he has gave matches to these people, like little matches, not wrestling matches, and hopefully they do something. What's going on, Jack Lewis? It should have been Randy. Randy should have definitely been his last. They're the last outside of Brock, because I don't know what they're gonna do with Brock. I don't know, but you know, him and Randy should have been the last. It should have been the last match. Randy about to be ahead by himself, but still, Cena's passed the torch to a lot of wrestlers. He's lost to a lot of wrestlers, and so even before this final run, I remember he lost to Shinsuke. He lost to a lot of people, a lot of up and coming people and stuff that had the potential to be main eventers and stuff. So I can't even say he can pass the torch because he's already gave people light. Man, that's a bar. That is definitely a bar. But still, I don't think he can pass the torch. And like I said, that goes into what I was saying earlier about Mercedes calling herself Ultimo Mone. There's nobody that's going to be the next John Cena. So trying to call somebody the next John Cena would be very, very dangerous. Do I think, and maybe Braun Breaker, if you want to say an ultimate torch pass, Braun Breaker. Because he's obviously going to be the next big star. He's obviously going to be the next big star, Braun Breaker. If you want to try to do something new or whatever, he won't be the next John Cena. He'll be himself. But I don't know my thoughts, man. But like I said, this run has not been great. And I do think a lot of spectators and stuff, they're going to make videos about it. I know Wrestling with Regret, Brian Zane, I'm sure he's going to. I'm probably going to. I know a lot of people are going to speak about his final run because we are watching it and it's televised. And I think a lot of us is like, we like this and we don't like that. But we're just grateful to see John Cena wrestle one more time. It's great to see that he's going to retire on his own terms because some wrestlers do not retire on their own terms. Sometimes it's injury, sometimes it's illness, sometimes it's a death or whatever like that. So for John Cena to be like, hey, this is my final year and this is what we're going to do, it's a beautiful thing to see. What will my final run look like? You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Y'all probably wouldn't know. You probably wouldn't know when my final year in wrestling is until I announce that I'm done with it. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'll say this before I leave. I want people to enjoy what I do as a wrestler now, right? I want, like, if you want to show up and see great wrestling and buy a ticket to see not only just Classic Alpha, but C3 or see me at another company and wrestle, do it and see great wrestling, right? I want to. I advocate for great wrestling. I advocate for great quality stuff. I advocate for more family-friendly shows, but that's just not what other people's companies represent. I want people to be like, hey, this man gave his all every time he stepped into the ring. What I don't want to do is, and I know there's one guy, shout out to Sam Knight, that's my homie. He's closing in his year. This is his final year. And a lot of people are giving him love. He has a show called The Last Ride. Make sure you guys get tickets to that. Sure, it's going to be a dope thing. You know, me and him faced each other at Press Start 3 this year in May. And it was a great match. I don't want to do that. That's what he wants to do. And like I said, I respect that. And I love that people are giving him his flowers and stuff. And I gave him flowers as well. That man is great. Not only is he a great wrestler, but he's also my brother in Christ. And we talk about certain things from time to time. So shout out to him. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to announce it and stuff like that. And then I don't want like people to try to show up just to support because it's my last. If that makes sense. It sounds selfish, but I think you guys get when I say that. Like if I say December 20-something is my last match, I do feel like some people may show up. They may show up and be like, I'm giving you your love because this is your final match. And I just want to be there to support you and for everything that you do. But at the same time, I want the energy like now, if you want to see it. You know, I don't want to be like, okay, I want you guys to come out of your way to come see me wrestle my last match. I don't want people to do that because if you don't want to come see it now, you probably don't want to come see it because it's my last match. It sounds, if that makes sense, it sounds a little selfish to me when I'm saying it, but I know exactly what I mean when I say that. Yeah. Appreciate that, Arshana. I love that match. I get what you say. Yeah, you want them for the sport. Yeah, not to support. And I love support. I love people that support me and what I do and stuff like that. I can't say it enough, guys, like you guys, it's even in the comments and stuff. But when it comes to it, like if you haven't went to a wrestling show in a while, and then I'll be like, I announced that this is my final show, then you want to show up. I'm gonna be grateful, but at the same time, be like, dang man, I wish you was here when this stuff happened, or great stuff and all of this stuff, or stuff as it sounds selfish and it sounds egotistical, but I know what I mean when I say it, and I do want to stand by it. My plan is to not tell people when it's my last year or it's my last show. I may do it, I may announce it after my last match. Hey, this is my last match. Because I just want it to be sincere. I want it not to. Oh, dang, that sound bad. Woo! Listen, if somebody tells me that they are retiring, I'm going to, especially if it's around me and I got scheduled, I'm going to go to show support because I do care for them and stuff like that. So let me not say it won't be sincere, because some people will see it and want to be sincere. Hey, I want to support you and see your final match. So I'm sorry. Let me not say it like that. You get what I mean when I say it, though. You definitely get what I mean when I say it. You know, why wasn't you with? Why was you with? You wasn't grappling with the RPG. You wasn't grappling with the real pro grappler. You wasn't in there in the gym. You didn't get tapped out. You didn't knocked out. Where was you at? Yeah, but that's what it is. I don't want to tell nobody. I want people to enjoy Classic Alpha. It's Classic Alpha, right? I want you to come to a show, see some great wrestling. There's other shows, other wrestlers and stuff. You know, I may not be the guy you want to see or whatever, but you're going to see a great match and stuff like that. So I don't want to try to make like a big ruckus of, okay, this is my final match, and then people buy stuff to see it and stuff like that. Cena is a little different, obviously, because it's Cena. Alpha is a little different because it's Alpha. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I would announce it after the match, because if you want to see me, you want to see me. And like I said, if you want to go out your way to see me, if I announce it as the last match, I would appreciate that too. But I would only tell like only a few people, like my wife or something like that, and maybe my opponent. But I wouldn't personally just be like, okay, I'm going to do it. That's just me though. Come to say hi. Now, ooh, that's a bar. So yeah, I'm trying to say it the nicest way I can, because some people do retirement tours and some people announce when their final show date is, and I respect that. If that's what you want to do, by all means, pray for you and everything, and that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But for me, that's not like something that I would per se like would want to do or whatever, you know. And I was like, God forbid, an illness, I have some kind of illness or something like that, then I would probably just have to announce that, especially if I can't physically do it, that it's the end for me, that I couldn't do it anymore. I want to do better and stuff. So that's the answer. That is the answer right there. When I retire, you'll know when I retire. You'll know when I retire, because I'll say it, I'll grab a microphone, I'll speak about it, I'll probably go live at the end of the show or when I get home. You will know, but I won't say, oh, I'm going to retire at the end of a year, or I have a few dates left and stuff like that, because I just want to enjoy the ride. I spoke about, and I say this, and I keep saying I'm a close like I'm a pastor, but I always say, like, even with Jey Uso's championship run, I was like, a lot of people got mad because it was short, and it was short, but I tell you that you need to cherish it instead of trying to calculate when it ends. Because a lot of people definitely knew that it was going to end, just didn't know how. And I think a lot of people messed up an opportunity to enjoy that this was a quote-unquote people's champ at the time, and you didn't cherish his championship run because you was upset that Gunther was won, and then Gunther went against Goldberg the following PLE. And I think that that's what's wrong, is that people need to cherish what they have. If you love a wrestler, if you like a wrestler and you like their moves and stuff like that, support them, like him, cherish him and stuff. But to sit here and be like, man, I wonder how long they're going to have the title, you're not going to cherish it. You're not going to cherish it as much as you should have. To me, and I've talked about the shortcomings of Jey Uso, but I enjoyed the championship run for what it was. It was a shoehorn thing. It probably was a last minute thing. They saw how big the situation was, And they was like, you got to make him a champ. Having him open up WrestleMania Night 1 as a Royal Rumble winner, didn't like that. But still, enjoy. But we have spoken for an hour and 19 minutes. My little baby, she sent me a homework. I had to check it. She did pretty good. She's pretty smart. Well, I got other stuff I have to do as well. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Arshawn, Robert Brown. Shout out to Jack Lewis, Mary Stevens. There were some other people too. Bill, Kev, Yella, PV, a lot of you. If I forgot your name, please forgive me. Shout out to y'all. It's all love. But I am out. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.